What if our stories weren't just about the past, where we've come from and where we are now? But what if our stories contained the clues and insights that would help us understand who we're becoming and where we might go next? This is Lead with Story, a podcast from Forerunner Story Co., where we explore how our stories not only provide insights to who we are and where we are, but where we're going and who we might become. I'm your host, Mike Tiesinga, and this is Lead with Story. This episode is made possible with the presence of Melissa Swetz. Melissa, thanks for being here today. And we're going to get to know a little bit of Melissa's story, Melissa's work, and how those work together. So as we just jump into this, Melissa, would you just take a moment to introduce yourself and share about what you do, a little bit about who you are, and then we'll dive in from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Melissa Swetz. I live here in the Southwest Michigan area. I'm a mortgage loan officer for Consumers Credit Union and a mom to two very busy teenagers. In a nutshell, that is my world right now.
That sounds like a very full life.
It is a very full life. As I was just saying, I'm cooking dinner at 9:30 last night, and it just was one of those long days, but I know I'll miss it someday, so I cherish it.
That's right. Right. So what does a mortgage loan officer do exactly?
Well, that's a good question. A mortgage loan officer, I'm kind of your first contact when you are trying to buy a house or a condo. We get your information such as credit score. I look at your income for the last couple of years. I get an application for you. We kind of work through things together and try to find the loan that fits you the best for your future purpose and your future living situation. So again, whether that's a house or a condo. And I do residential mortgages. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Because commercial, I'm guessing, is a whole other can of worms.
That is, and I don't know the first thing about it, so
that's good
I don't even want to speak to it.
All right, so residential. So people looking for their home, their condo, something like that.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your career journey, like to get to this, to where you're at now.
Yeah. Well, it could be kind of a long, I'll try to condense it, but I graduated college in 99, so if you do the math, I'm getting up there a little bit, but graduated college in 99. I worked a year or so at the university, just kind of in their admissions office. Then I decided I'm going to interview for the sales position. Why not? So I ended up getting a pharmaceutical sales position in Kalamazoo. So I relocated about 3 hours away from my family, and I just loved this area. So I did that for years. I was in pharmaceutical sales with Pfizer. And then I decided after a while that just wasn't for me. I wasn't getting the gratification I needed. It was getting a little hard to get out of bed. So I made a change, and I decided I wanted to get into real estate. I've always liked kind of running my own schedule day in and day out. And I transitioned to real estate, and I loved it. I did that for 8 or 9 years. And did very well at it, enjoyed it. It's so fun seeing houses. Took a little time off, had kids, had a little health journey, and then decided I'm going to step back into that real estate world. And I was a loan officer assistant for a couple years, and then now I have been a loan officer with Consumers Credit Union for 4 years. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, and it wasn't a straight line, was it?
No,
it wasn't a straight line.
Never is.
How was that transition, like moving across state? What helped you with that transition? One, just making the move, like you said, 3.5 hours away from your family.
Yeah, I grew up in this little town, little high school. I graduated high school with like 90 kids. I only went to college a half hour away from my family, and my family has always been really important to me and very supportive. And it just took me a while before I could find my stride to have the confidence to be able to do that. Now one of my mottos, and I'd say, is like, if you try it, if you don't like it, do something else, right? It was just one of those first moments that actually kind of clicked for me, and it was a great job, great experience. I just couldn't pass it up, and I love it. I love this area.
Yeah, and then so you tried it,
Yep.
and then after a while, that wasn't for you. It sounds like it. You had to like, okay, let's try something new. Was that next transition? Did that feel easier having done that transition before, or what was that process? Okay, now I'm going into career, but now I'm making a career change. How did those compare?
Yeah, I would say it was, anytime you make a change, there's always the scary, in your tummy, like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Is it going to work out? I mean, anybody who knows the pharmaceutical sales world, you make really good money. And so moving into a career that is all self-sufficient, self-motivated, you have to go out there and close a sale for real estate before you get paid. So all those factors are very scary. But I knew in my heart that I couldn't keep doing that current job, and I had to make a change, and it was just kind of a natural fit for me after doing my research. So yeah, it was still a little scary, but it all worked out, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, everybody's gonna have a chance to go through some sort of transition in their life at some point or another, and it's figuring out less of will I go through this and more of how will I go through this, because it's whether you pick it or not, some sort of change or transition is going to come.
Definitely.
Through all those changes, through those transitions, what did you learn about yourself? Like even in like deciding, like you could do anything, right? Going from, I'm sure you realize like, well, I can probably do anything doing the pharmaceutical sales, and now deciding to go, okay, let me go into the real estate. What were some of the things you discovered about yourself along the way, or even like re-recognized from being a kid that were like, oh, this is kind of who I am and what I like doing?
Yeah, it's always an interesting question when you have to like talk about yourself, yourself and your traits and stuff. But, I think back, and I am the oldest. I think that does come into play a little bit. I'm very organized. I'm very direct, straightforward. The older I get, the more I'm that way. I can manage my own time very well. So I don't need to punch a clock for me to be, I'm very self-motivated, I guess you would say. And those things all kind of went together. I mean, with Pfizer and those pharmaceutical sales role, you work from home and you have to go make sales calls around the state to hospitals and doctors' offices. The same thing would apply when you go into real estate. It's all self-motivation. You're not punching a clock. It's who can I reach out to? Who can I get business from? I guess it kind of ties into sports a little bit too. I've always been outgoing and friendly and forward and, willing to shake hands and meet new people. And so I think a lot of those things kind of have just kind of started as a child, I guess you could say, and just kind of progressed as I've gotten older.
Yeah, as a fellow oldest, you kind of like you're the test run for your folks, and then there's a little bit of learned self-sufficiency because the focus kind of goes everywhere else. Like, well, all right, now you're given responsibility and whatnot. You mentioned sports. Is sports part of your background? Did you play sports? I know we've talked off of this that you're a sports fan, but share how some of that mixes in there.
Yeah, I've always been a sports kid. I remember starting when I was young. My dad coached my little leagues teams, and so I've always played sports. I've always really liked sports. I was a softball girl and a basketball girl. I still go to many sporting events, whether they're college or professional, and my kids are very active in sports. So it is a big part of our life. It makes us happy. I know everybody has their thing, but we really enjoy all the sports.
Yeah. So you're now again in a little more self-driven, right? Being the mortgage loan officer. What is winning like? Tell me just kind of your process there of like, okay, you can't make someone buy a house, right? There's a level of like, but talk about just some of that self-motivation, that organization of what helps you do what you do, and why do you do what you do?
Ooh, all these tough questions. So yeah, there's a lot of things that kind of go into being a mortgage loan officer. We are self-sufficient as far as getting leads, similar to, the background in real estate. So it's just, you're getting out there, you're meeting people, you're putting yourself out there and hoping that somebody connects with you and likes you. You're trying to gain trust from referral partners, whether that is friends, family, realtors. it's a lot of hearing no's. You have to be able to hear a no, but just kind of shake it off and keep going. Because once you get to the yeses, those are the ones that you remember and that make you happy. And, that's the joy that you can spread out there. But yeah, it's just trying to find your niche and trying to find those people that you can serve and that appreciate what you do.
I imagine you mentioned having a softball background, right? Like a good batting average in baseball. A really good one is like 30% of the time you're getting a hit.
300, yeah.
That's not really successful in most other things, but I imagine that having the perspective of like, okay, I saw this pitch, I hit it, I missed here, but just being willing to get up again, right? Like most of the time you're not going to get a hit, but be able to take the no, right? And get up and go again. And what did I learn last time? What would I do differently? And you're not facing the same pitcher, so to speak, every time in your line of work, but you're dealing with people. And what helps you connect with the people you work with? Like what are some of the things that you've learned along the way that just help you be good at your job?
I feel like once I am introduced to somebody and I have conversations with them, 90% of it, maybe even higher, that's when I win the deal, right? It's just getting them to see who I am, that I'm a real person, I care, they trust me, I'm very open in communication with them. I start to finish, I'm there all along the way. And I think they can really sense that from me. It's just getting those initial connections, right? Yeah. That's what I really have to work on. And, I just to say, no's are okay, right? You have to go through so many no's before you find the yeses, because that's what works for you. That's what makes you feel good. It makes the success feel so much better to you. I think a lot of people in life are afraid to hear a no or to be unsuccessful. It's fine. Just shake it off. You might have to have a bad afternoon, but then you wake up the next day and you're ready to go again.
Yes, it's part of life.
It is.
Right? You're gonna miss intentionally, but you're also gonna get no's even when you do everything right. It's just how it goes, and no matter whether it's work or life, it's not gonna go perfectly smooth the whole way. So one thing I've heard you share just in our time working together, but also even here, just the being with someone the whole way through, having a caring posture, having clear communication. At a baseline, those are really good just principles for working with people. Who are some of the examples? Like, is that something you've learned in your adult life? Is that something that was instilled in you at a young age? Like, where did that become a core value for you?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say like when, but I feel like I've always been that person. Even, at a younger age, high school, I would say I was that person. I've never been I've been friends with everybody. I know everybody, but yet I have a small core that are my people. And that's just kind of, I think it started from there, stemmed from there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer, but I just feel like it started in high school at a young age. My parents both worked, and, just a lot of self-sufficient and kind of moving through things sometimes on your own, and it just built from there. Yeah,
sometimes we don't really know where we pick up on it, but just the families we come from or the examples before us, you kind of realize like, oh, I care about this too. So at the beginning of our conversation, you talked about having this full-time job, but also being the mom of very active teenagers who are active in sports. Talk about how you manage that. Like, what is being present, right, for your kids, your family first. You've mentioned the importance of your family, but also like your work. How do you do that? Like you get to manage your own time. I'm sure you probably don't do it as perfectly as you would like, but
yeah. So you just kind of do it, I was saying like yesterday, you work full time and then you're out doing things with the kids at night. My kids had practices from 6 to 9 last night, both of them. I'm getting a ride for one of them. I'm, taking the other one home, and I'm fixing dinner at 9:30 at night, and we get up at 6:15 the next morning. So you just do it. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of scheduling. some people are better at it than others, and it's just, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I know I'll miss it. Like right now you walk around, my house isn't the, most tidy, and I'm tired, but, it brings me joy to watch them, and I think sports is a good thing. I know not everybody are sports people, but it really teaches them accountability. It teaches them how to work in a team atmosphere. It's just a lot of things. They give up weekends to be able to play this sport when they could be just sitting around playing video games with their friends. So anyway, back to me. I like to talk about my kids. I'm proud of them, but yeah, you just roll with it. You look at the week, you try to plan it the best you can, and if you have to deviate, you do, and you make it work.
Yeah, it's just like you said. You just gotta do it. Like,
Yeah.
if you think too much about maybe the how or overanalyze anything, then you just kind of get stuck. It's like, we're going, so we gotta make those decisions and navigate on the fly. We talked about the transitions that you've made over the years. What are some of just the other like obstacles or things you've had to overcome along the way that have helped shape you to be who you are?
Yeah, I've had a few major obstacles in my life that I've pretty open with and talk about, but I'm 47 now, so I've learned that life is not black and white. There's a very large section of gray in there, and I think when you're young, you think, oh, this is how it's going to be, and it's never that way. So for me, I am a cancer survivor. That was a huge obstacle in my life. It changed my life. At 39 years old, I was diagnosed with triple negative stage 3 breast cancer. So no family history, haven't had any mammograms yet, just happened. So I was married. My kids were, I think 9 and 6 or, 8 and 5, like they were young. So that was a whirlwind of a year. That was a huge obstacle. I had chemo. I lost all my hair. I ended up having chemo first, and then I had a double mastectomy. So no boobs, no hair. That was a rough one as a woman. Then I had radiation, and then I had reconstructive surgery. So that was a hell of a year. It was bad, but I could have died, right? I really could have.
Yeah.
And you come out the other side, and I think you look at life so much differently, right? I mean, it's short. Who cares if somebody says no, right? They don't want to do a mortgage with you because I don't care. Like, I'm
alive
here.
today. I'm alive. Yep.
So that was a huge change in my life. And at the time, it was hell. You don't want to go through it, but it did make me a better person. It made me look at life differently. I've also been through a divorce. So right after all of the cancer stuff, I went through a divorce. So I had little kids, and it was just a rough couple of years, actually. Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? I'm going to go back out in the work world. I have to work full time now instead of just kind of part time at home with 2 little kids. And, that is stress in itself. So I would say, those 2 obstacles really brought me down to a place that I didn't know if I could get out of, but I did. And, I say those things, not boo-hoo me, but it's real life, right? Everybody goes through things. And I think that helps me relate to the people that I work with. Sometimes it's happy working with a first-time home buyer, and they're 22 and they're so excited. And then sometimes it's sad, and, somebody else is going through a divorce, or they had a spouse die, and I can relate to them. And I think that having those obstacles and going through them, it changed how I look at things, but it also allowed me to empathize and work with people in a different way than others can.
Yeah, it's a different thing to go through theoretical grief and kind of put yourself in somebody's shoes, but now to be able to say, oh, I've walked that. I've walked wrestling with, am I going to live? Or, man, I'm a single mom with these 2 little kids who are depending on me. And that it makes sense how you can face like, oh, someone didn't sign the mortgage deal. Okay, right? It gives you that perspective and that sense of like, okay, I'm fine. but also you can lead people through and meet them where they're at in their own journey and their process. Because like you said, you have no idea what their circumstances are.
You really don't. And, you know, I think that part of this job isn't just a mortgage and going through the documents and here, sign this. I mean, I have somebody right now who's just a sweetheart that I'm working with, and she's going through a horrible divorce. I mean, tears on the phone. And so I am kind of her counselor too, and her cheerleader, and letting her know the steps in the process. And she appreciates that. I mean, we text each other. And so it's just making that personal connection. You know, there are those people that they want nothing to do with that. Let's just do the transaction and that's it. But, you know, there's others that definitely appreciate we get to know each other, and it's more of a hand-holding process.
Yeah. Those have to be pretty special. Like, you probably have those moments where like, wow, okay, this person got a house, but I really got to help them as a human. That's gotta be great.
Yeah. There's always those people that you continue to kind of talk to afterwards that you just kind of built a strong connection with. And that's always fun. You know, you run into them somewhere, you shoot them a, you know, happy birthday or whatever, and you just kind of like catch up for a minute. So yeah, it is a lot of fun.
And I've appreciated, just as we've gotten to know each other working together, how that's not something I thought was possible with someone like a mortgage loan officer, right? It's in when my wife and I, we got our house, it was so transactional. It was, but I love people. Like, I'm doing a podcast to talk to people and hear their stories, and like, to see that you say, well, yeah, someone might just want to do the transactional route, but I'm going to give them the opportunity to like be known and seen and understood, and let's embrace it. This is one of the largest financial investments you'll make, and that comes with a mental load and an emotional load, and there's other pieces that are in there, and I just think it's incredibly invaluable the way that you approach entering into there, which is really awesome. Let's look a little deeper at what some of the things you actually do, the nitty gritty of the mortgage. It's not
boring, right?
Just a couple pieces, right? This is just, I did a little research of like some of the most commonly searched questions about your field. So you get a chance.
Let's see if I can answer them.
Is there a difference between a mortgage broker and a mortgage lender?
Yes, there is. I'll give you kind of the high end difference. And I'm not a mortgage broker, but basically a mortgage broker, and this is my definition, a mortgage broker is somebody who's a very independent, and they work with, let's say, multiple, like 10 different financial institutions, and they see what fits where. And where I'm a mortgage lender, I work specifically for one financial institution and represent them. So a mortgage broker might have you're not going to have as personal of a relationship because they're working with 10, different financial companies. Their fees are a little different as well. It's usually a little higher fee, where I'm working with my team at Consumers Credit Union with a flat rate. So that's it in a nutshell. There's not one that's better than the other. It just kind of depends on your situation and what kind of loan maybe you're looking for. But there are both. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
See, all right. There you go. Nailed it. What are some of the things that make Consumers Credit Union unique about the process? You mentioned some of it's all in-house here, but could you share some of the unique value that Consumers brings in the mortgage lending space?
Yeah. So when I was in real estate, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I was in real estate, you have as a realtor, you have a list of a couple of lenders that you like, that you get used to, and you send referrals to. And I frequently went to Consumers if somebody needed a referral. And I just felt like they were professional. They got the job done. They took care of my buyers for me. And so I was thinking, okay, as I'm stepping back into this world of, I want to be a loan officer now, it was just a natural fit for me to go there. Consumers is headquartered in Kalamazoo, which I really like. I know that there's all kinds of internet lenders out there. I know you can get loans from anywhere, but I liked being able to walk into a corporate building And that's where our team is. That's where my processor is, the underwriters, the closers. I mean, I have cell phone numbers to VPs, I have emails. I can walk into the CEO's office if I wanted to. And I really like that. Some loans are super easy. They're simple. I mean, get them closed, boom, boom, boom. Other loans, it is more of a process, self-employed or some type of credit issue. I can sit down with my underwriter, a manager, and paint a story, and we can maybe find a product for them at Consumers. So there's a boatload of reasons, but I just like the fact that they're here, which is where I live, and I have access to all those people that I need. Another thing that I really like, I could just keep going, but another thing that I really like is we keep all of our loans. We don't sell servicing. So I don't know about you, but other people, you close on the loan and like literally a month later, oh, you now are with so-and-so to pay your bills. And then 6 months later, you get another one. And it can be a little frustrating if you have a question or you're trying to talk to somebody. If you have a loan with Consumers Credit Union, you walk into any branch or you can call me and we can look up what's going on, your information. You're not doing some call center from California. So I like that personal feel as well. Yeah, I'll stop. But that's just a couple of things that really stand out for me as why Consumers and why I chose to work there.
Yeah, even initially, I hear the things that matter to you, they took care of their people, the things that you noticed when you were on the other side, that they resonate with how you carry yourself, the things that you care about. And so that makes sense. Then hearing how that is actualized in a place like Kalamazoo in Southwest Michigan, where there's still high value. And can I go see this person face to face, right? Can I go, can I find this person? It's not just an email signature. It's not just, a call center. You can actually go. That's really neat. Okay, we got to talk about rates. Everybody's talking about rates.
Yeah.
Everyone's always wondering, okay, how do they work? Do they go up and down? Is it the best time? Should I wait for it to get down to the elusive 3% again? Like, just give me talk about what someone needs to know or be thinking about when they're thinking about rates and possibly buying a house.
Rates is always a fun conversation. It's a good way to start conversation. Everybody's always asking about rates. So some basic things about rates, and this is one I get asked all the time. My friend bought a house, 6 months ago, and they only had a 6% rate, but you're telling me it's 7% today. So a rate is very specific to the individual person. So your friend could have bought a house at 6%. 6 months ago because they had an 800 credit score. They put 50% down, and their loan to value income wise was at like 12%. You at 7%, we're at a 680 credit score. We might be 49% debt to income ratio. So basically what I'm saying is it's all so different and individualized. So because somebody else got a certain rate doesn't mean you're going to. And when people shop, it can be a little hard sometimes because they rate shop, right? So on this website, it says this. On this website, it says this. It doesn't matter what the website says. Really, the true rate that I can provide you is when I have a full application. I know your income. I know exactly what your credit score is, and then we can talk about it. Different loan programs too. So whether you're going conventional, whether you're VA, FHA, zero down, doctor loan, all these different things have different rates associated with them. So it's an interesting topic. The 3%, will we ever get there? And I'm going to wait for that. I don't know if we will or not. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's a little too low. Now people feel like they can't sell their house because they're going to double their rate. And you get a house shortage and all these different things. So, the national average, if you look back over years and years, is in the 7s. I don't know where we'll end up being, but rates change all the time too.
So it sounds like maybe we're fixating on the wrong thing. Like maybe rates matter, right? You want to get a good rate for this investment, but maybe it's not the primary thing. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Like it's maybe not the most important thing because there's so many things that go into determining what your rate will be, that there's other things that maybe someone could actually take control of to influence getting a better rate.
Yeah, and I would 100% agree with that. And I always tell people too, you kind of, that old saying, you get what you pay for, right? So if you get something very cheap, it might last, shiny and lovely you might wear the shirt once and then it falls apart, versus, you spend a little more money, get some quality, it's going to have longevity. It's kind of like that with rate. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't shop around, but there is a bigger picture to rates. And when you really dive into it, there's a lot of similarities too. You've got to look at APR. You've got to look at closing costs. Are you connecting with that person? Is the loan going to take 30 days to close or 90 days to close? Are they going to sell you your servicing, or are they going to keep it? Like, there's just so many things out there to consider. Yeah,
it's not just listed price and rate.
That's right.
There's a whole bunch of other ingredients in there.
Definitely.
All right, well, thanks.
Am I passing my test?
I think so. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. Yeah, this is just helpful information.
Yeah.
So what is the pre-approval process? Because I've heard you talk about pre-qualified versus pre-approval. If you could differentiate those, but then talk about the process as well.
Yeah. So pre-approval for me, and every loan officer does business different, but pre-approval for me is taking a loan application, actually seeing documents that support the income that you put in the application. So pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, it all depends on your situation. Running your credit, so we can actually look at your real credit score. Taking that all in, and then talking to you about what is the best loan that works for you. We can talk about rate at that time frame, all those things. So that is my process. It's a little more thorough. It's a more upfront process for me. But when I give you a pre-approval, it's legit. You can afford $400,000 and these are your payments. You're comfortable with it, and go have fun shopping. A pre-qual is more just, oh, you told me this. Okay, that's okay. Here's your pre-approval. So it's just quicker. I don't know if one's better than the other. I have an opinion of what's better, but that is basically start to finish kind of the pre-approval process. And then once you get pre-approved, you go out and you do your shopping. Once you get an offer, then that's when you would come back to me and we would talk about locking you in and terms and stuff of the offer from the real estate transaction.
So really it's someone coming to you with their information and you saying, this is what we can confidently support you going and shopping for.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like we would feel comfortable. This is the range of loan that we would be comfortable supporting and sponsoring for you to go and purchase house. Maybe sponsoring is not the right word, but
I think it's important to talk those numbers because maybe I'll approve you for $400,000, but when you really look at a budget, maybe you're more comfortable with $250,000. So just because I can approve you up to a certain amount doesn't mean that you should spend that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of education in there too, especially for, a younger buyer or first time buyer. You have other bills besides a mortgage payment. So yes, basically you hit it right on the head there.
Yeah, I remember just for my wife and I, when we went through that process, we were shocked at what they were willing to get a loan for, but we looked at the budget and we're like, but we don't want to swing that. We like for our first home, we don't want that to be our monthly mortgage payment. And so it's that same thing of like, okay, yeah, just because you are approved doesn't mean just go nuts on that.
Yeah.
Like find that right fit. And the education, I think, in helping paint the picture of like, here's what this would look like on a month basis. And so that's really valuable.
And then going it kind of backwards. Like, what do you want your monthly payment to kind of be? This is the price range you should look at.
Yep.
Don't go price range and then be shocked by the payment later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine there's a lot of things that you get asked all the time about this, but is there one thing where you're like, this is like my soapbox, this is my nerd button, like the thing where if someone gets you talking about, maybe it's not even about what you do for work, right? But what's like the thing that either there's misconceptions that people need to learn more about and you love to bring that education, or maybe it's just something that you I'll just stop there. What's your nerd button? What's like your soapbox when it comes to the work? I could talk about this all day.
Well, I'll keep it professional. I like my dog. I
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
glass of wine.
yeah.
So there's lots of things I could go
Yeah.
off on. But, I think the biggest thing for me is when you are getting a mortgage, you need to find the right loan officer. And so you're working hand in hand with, there's like a triangle, right? There's Mr. Buyer, and then you've got realtor, and then you've got loan officer. That triangle has to be solid. And to really make sure that you like that person, when somebody says, oh, I got a 0.25% rate lower here, I'm going with them. It just that's what eats me, because guess what? Every loan officer does business different. And I promise you might get a 0.25% rate maybe somewhere else. Give me the chance, I could probably beat it. But I'm going to provide you better service than 99% of the people out there that I pride myself in. And just give me a chance. Give somebody else a chance. Really get to know them. Don't make it so transactional. It can be fun. Like, my goal is to have repeat and referral business, right? I mean, and so how am I going to get that? You have to get to know me. You have to get to know my process and be happy with it. So I guess that's kind of my soapbox, I guess, about mortgages is don't let it be so transactional. Really embrace that loan officer, get to know them, let them work for you, and make it more fun, right? Life is so day in, day out, a lot of the same things. It's hard. And I would hope to bring you joy instead of bring you down.
Yeah, and you've talked about how you've been through those harder things.
Yeah.
So if any opportunity to make something more fun, more joyful, to relieve some of the pressure and the weight, that seems like a given. Why wouldn't we take that? What are some of the downsides? What are some of the risks of having it be more transactional, or what would bad service that someone might experience look like to hey, here's a yellow flag of maybe don't go this way. Obviously the 0.25%, but what are to paint a picture of what that could look like?
Yeah, I mean, I had a young lady I'm working with right now. She is moving from Chicago to this area, and she applied at another credit union, and it took her about 3 weeks to get pre-approved. She applied with me, and I had her pre-approved in 48 hours. So that response time was a lot quicker. I gave her a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. We talked about different price ranges and payments, what she can expect for a 0 down loan, what she can expect at a 5%, and just to kind of look to see where her budget felt. She never got any of that from the other lender. I talked to her on the phone because she's in Chicago. We can't do an in-person meeting right now. So I talked to her on the phone. She'd never talked to the other person on the phone. It was very transactional, just kind of emails sporadically. So I think those things, if that's important to you, could be a huge difference. Even if you are not that talk on the phone, friendly person, the fact of response time, I would say for most people is important. I would say the education or the Excel spreadsheet type of format of showing you this is $300, this is $250, and really looking at those different price points should be important to you. So the education piece of it. So I think that's what stands out the most to me is that follow-up, the timeliness of it, figuring out what that borrower wants. Do they want the phone calls? Do they want the emails? I usually ask up front.
Yeah.
Do you like text? Do you like email? Here's my cell phone number. I don't work business hours. So I work when you need me. And granted, I am very busy. I'm running kids around at night and on the weekends, but guess what? That cell phone is always with me. And if I can answer it or reply to a text, I will. And a lot of other loan officers, they work 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, and then it's gone. Well, if you remember when you're looking at houses, and I remember from selling houses, it's nights and weekends. So I need to be available when they're out there looking at houses nights and weekends. So there's a lot of different things, that really differentiate. Every loan officer does their business different. And so you really need to know that it's not the same all the way across.
Yeah, your unique people working, your unique ways to meet your clients where they're at and to help them on their journey. You mentioned you want repeat and referrals. But what would you hope someone's experience with you is, just on that personal level? Like, how do you want someone to feel when they're done working with you, going through this process?
Yeah, you want it to be, I would hope that they would feel that it was easy, that it wasn't taxing for them. I go to the closings as much as I can, and I sit at that closing table with them when they're signing the documents. And it's fun. I mean, whether you do a handshake, I get a lot of hugs. I'm a hugger. If I feel like the vibe's there, I'll hug. I've gotten a lot of handwritten notes, thank yous. And that's what makes me happy, right? They've had a good experience. They obviously appreciated what I did. They understand my role in the process, even though I'm kind of more the person that's behind the scenes. I still am active in the real estate process with them. And it's just a happy feeling when somebody gets the keys, whether it's a first house or a fifth house. It's still a big deal. Yeah. It's not something that you do every week.
Yep.
So yeah, just that happy, the transaction went well, and guess what? I am going to tell my neighbors and my friends and my family about it and get you more business because you did a good job for me.
Yeah, I hear in your role, there's the education piece, there's the coach piece, there's like the cheerleading piece of like, you did
therapist.
We did the therapist, right? Like the listen, right? There's so much more than just that transactional piece. It's like, hey, here are all the things that come with this. I want you to understand the landscape, and I want to be with you all the way through. One thing that I've been thinking about recently is not just being there for the people that we work with, but people in our lives just at the finish line of their marathon race, but trying to be with them when they decide they want to run from that couch to 5K. And that's different for everybody. You can't do it perfectly, but just that's been a good image for me of, okay, if someone wants to get somewhere, how do I come alongside to champion and encourage them? And just same with you, like, hey, we're reaching out. We think we want to go shopping for a house. And you're there that whole step of the way. Okay, here's information you need. Here's what you would need to get pre-approved, and then let's go all the way to cross that finish line. Here are the keys. That's pretty awesome.
It is. Yeah, you want it to be a lifelong, client, or because then later, oh, you referred me to your friend. Oh, we're gonna refinance in a couple of years. It's just you're constantly helping them through their journey.
Yeah. Are there any just favorite moments or highlights from your time doing this that just really stick out to you as things that inspire you and just remind you? I'm sure every closing is special, but are there any that just man, that's why I do what I do?
Some closings, to be honest, you're like, there's some that you're like, I am so glad we've been working on that. A breath of fresh air now. But I think as far as most of them are happy, one that I remember specifically, they were first-time borrowers. They literally showed up in the parking lot at the title company with a U-Haul and a truck packed, happy as happy could be. They were going straight to this cute little house that they bought. I mean, hugs, tears, keys. It was literally out of a Hallmark movie. So that will always stand out for me.
They were ready.
It was adorable. They had me over to their house for dinner after they moved in, a couple months later. It was just, they're awesome. So they now live out in California. He's a doctor, but he was doing residency here. Yeah. So it was just great. So that's one that stands out to me. And then sometimes people are like, oh, a hard transaction, that self-employed borrower, or we're buying our fourth investment property and funds are tight. And those are fun too. Yeah. They're not easy, and it's not always the high emotion, but they're fun to put a bow on and be like, yes, we got here, we got to the finish line. And yeah, those are the ones that kind of stand out to me.
Yeah, there's the like quintessential like first home U-Haul, and there's also like, okay, we're going to solve this problem so that you can have this investment.
Yeah. Or somebody else told them no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'll do that.
Let's find a way.
Let's figure it out.
Just do it, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. Like with your kids, like you just got to do it. We're going to find a way to do it. That's great. Well, we have covered a wide variety of things here. Thanks so much for just sharing some of your life and sharing some of the behind the scenes of what you do as a mortgage lender. Before we wrap up here, right, you have been through a number of life events, both the ones that you have chosen and the ones that I guess chose you in some ways, and you still have shown up here resilient, showing up for your family, for your clients, and the people in your life day to day. Is there just any sort of word of encouragement you would have to whoever might stumble upon this podcast, just for wherever they're at in their own life, whether they're facing an obstacle or a season of transition?
I always just, whenever I hear somebody say, you know, they're scared of change. Change is inevitable. And whether you ask for it or you don't, you have to just kind of take your moment to deal with it, process it, and then move on and make the best of it. I think that's one of the biggest things that I kind of live by is as easy as it is just to kind of keep going in the same way, it's not going to happen. And you always have to accept it and embrace it. You can have that time, but then you're ready. You're ready to take that next step and move on. So, that's kind of it. Just enjoy life, right? Smile. Know everybody's going through something, but make the best of it. And that's kind of it.
I appreciate it. It's sometimes just that simple, right? Of like, listen, everyone's going through something. You never know what that might be. But also change in a lot of ways is inevitable. And as someone who loves story, like that's where the stories happen, when someone comes through change, and it is how we choose to go through that change, that transformation. It can take time. That's okay. But that will often shape where we are on the other side of it. And
I tell my kids this, and one of my best friends is going through a career change, and I'm like, the worst that can happen is you don't like it, and then you pivot again, right? So just give it a try. As
my father-in-law says, don't cost nothing to try, which isn't entirely true, but it's his mentality of just like, just try. Just try. Go find out. And I'm grateful for that wisdom that you shared. I'm grateful for this time. And wherever you're at, whatever you're going through right now, just hope that this is some level of encouragement for you. If you need or are interested in buying a home or looking for a mortgage loan officer, where can they find you?
I'm at Consumers Credit Union. You can Google it as well, and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for checking out this podcast. We hope it is an encouragement to you, and see you again next time. We are all on our own journey, and our stories help us understand where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. Your story is uniquely valuable because there is no one else like you. And by sharing it, you can help others connect to their own journeys. So wherever you're going, go as only you can go. Lead with story. The music for Lead with Story was created and provided by Joshua Draghi. Lead with Story is a production of Forerunner Story Company. Forerunner Story Company serves individuals, teams, businesses, and brands in helping them discover, craft, and share their story in a meaningful way. For more information, you can visit forerunnerstoryco.com.